Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, bringing you a grand solar minimum update like none other. Friday, January 4th, 11 p.m. Mountain Time, 2019. You're looking at the most recent GFS model, updated just moments ago, and it's showing a heavy snow pattern in the northeast across Ontario, eastern Canada through mid-January. And a heavy system coming through starting next weekend in the southeast. These models will change, and it could be the blizzard to remember. But we'll get to that, because what we have to work with right now is heavy snow moving into British Columbia, falling down into the northern Sierras in the next 48 hours. Heavy snow dumping throughout the entire North Sierras, almost to the coast with the most. And then a secondary system moving into Oregon. You're going to get it. Finally, here's your dump. That's a pump dump. Boom! The entire western mountainous region covered in global warming goodness. Adding insult to injury, because they've been claiming there's going to be no water here and you're all going to die and the Sierras will never have water. And we just checked before this storm and the water levels are low. Unfortunately, after this storm, the water levels will be high. You've entered the boom, boom time. I don't even know what that means, but keep calm and boom. It's January, so where's the snow? Monday, January 14th. No, it isn't. Where's the editor, hometown station, WDBJ? It is not the 14th. You DBJ bags. It's the 4th, which it says right down here under your photo. And they're talking about Roanoke, Virginia, which sees 8 inches of snow annually. And they want to know where the snow is. How about the 16 inches that fell in October, you DBJ bags? How about that? Boom! What a bunch of fraud bags. Weekend blizzard could bring 10 to 16 inches to Oregon passes. And none to Roanoke, because they already got 10 inches more than they get all year. So shut your front door. Weekend blizzard could bring 10 to 16 inches to Oregon mountain passes. So you can all kiss my little baby booms. Look at these kids. They're stoked. Story was just updated this afternoon. An incoming storm could bring 10 to 16 inches of global warming goodness to Oregon's Cascade Range and its passes this weekend. Meteorologists said Friday. We don't know who those meteorologists are, and they wouldn't be quoted because they're hiding in the hole with Al. Get in your hole, Al. Bring those guys down there with you, and you can split that tic-tac. 3 ways. 4 ways. Yeah, you can give the other guy some. The system is expected to arrive in 2 waves and bring snow as low as 2,500 feet. And everyone says snow never falls below 2,500 feet here, according to National Weather Service Shane Weigel. There is still some uncertainty, but it's looking pretty good. And it's looking like a dump. So dump it. And we can yell at Al. We can also click on all these tabs because none of them are downloading. This is a recurrent theme, but if you stick with us, we're going to bring you the good stories in super boom fashion. It is a super boom, so take that. Storm could bring 6 inches of new snow to Lake Tahoe. And we're just talking about a neighboring state. Heads up! A winter storm could deliver up to a foot of new snow at Lake Tahoe this weekend. More possible at higher elevations. The National Weather Service in Reno, Nevada has issued a winter storm warning for the greater Lake Tahoe region. The warning starts at 10 a.m. Saturday and will last through 10 a.m. Sunday. The storm could deliver 6 to 1 foot of snow in Tahoe and Truckee. Yeah, these are mountain passes. They could see 15 to 20 inches of snow. The strongest period of snowfall is expected from 9 p.m. Saturday as 50-mile-per-hour gusts on the Sierra Crest with 100-mile-per-hour gusts make it a blizzard to remember. The high temperatures Saturday are expected to reach 38 degrees in Incline Village, and the rest will be down, 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 down. Boom, Super Express style. Straight down. Avoid travel over the Sierra Saturday afternoon and evening if possible, unless you're trying to ski, in which case get stuck on the side of the road, and hopefully you'll have a survival package, which will keep you alive for the 28 hours that you're freezing your arse off. You could be stuck in your vehicle for many hours, the Weather Service warns. So if you think this is your first time you're going to go up and snowboard, it could be the last time you ever drove north. 10 tips for safely navigating snowy roads at Lake Tahoe. Don't do it if you're a snowflake. Yeah, don't do it. If you haven't driven in snow, done 360s, donutted, fell off the road, towed hundreds of people off the cliff, then you're just a disaster waiting to happen. Saturday's storm is expected to be the first in a series of record-breaking storms impacting the region starting Saturday. So if you're wondering where the snow was, by March, you'll be praying you never knew what snow was. Colorado snowpack, 100% average. Yeah. Last year, we didn't have a single flake here. You couldn't snowmobile anywhere here, except for a little place right up here. But right now, the entire state is buried. The state is currently at 94% of normal snow, which means that since 1883, we're normal. Ow! It's normal, you prick! You just used last year as a ruse. The state is currently at 94% of normal. This means that half of the state is over 100% of normal, which they didn't say. The rest of the state is 100% of normal, which is tiny regions here that are almost at 100% of normal. But almost half of the state, drawing a line, is 100% or above normal. More than half. Snowpack totals become more concerning as you head towards the Four Corners. Yeah, really concerning at 74%. That's really concerning. Last year we were at 0%. And last year over here we were at 0%. Very concerning at 74%. Meaning that the snow in this region is the same as it has been 74 out of the last 100 years. That's how you do percents, meteorologists, in case you didn't take that course. So 74 out of the last 100 years, same amount of snow. That's pretty average. 69 out of 100, same amount of snow. And yet, they have the gall, the audacity to say that it's becoming more concerning, as if that you're supposed to be at 100% record levels every year. You should be ashamed of yourself, KJCT8. Who put their name on this? Nikki Sheiks. Please Google us over at the Oppenheimer Ranch Project. We'll teach you how to talk about weather, statistics, and science. Because if the state is currently at 94% of normal, last year we were at 0, almost, and these regions are at 70 or higher, there is no concerning area anywhere in our region. Nikki. Suck it, Nikki. You suck. The big one. Snow blankets, Arizona desert, and Nikki didn't even know about it. Creating otherworldly scenes and making people that have no scientific knowledge or background or just started researching these topics go off the hook. They're crying because the saguaro is covered in snow. It is a climatic disaster, they said. These are the same global warming alarmists that can all bury themselves in a hole in the beach and stay there. Because now they're crying about the cactus dying. Because of snow! Which shouldn't be falling in your global warming world. You vegan crybaby snowflake sissies that have you don't have the right to question or call us climate deniers because you're a denier of information. You're a denier of science. You're a denier of research. And you don't even know that it snows on saguaros every year, at least one time. through the last 200 years, that this region needs to be below freezing for 72 hours to start to kill all these puppies. And it only snows in the morning when it's cold. It's minus 14 where I live, only for an hour from 5 to 6 a.m. That's it. At midnight, it's 0. And at noon, it's 47 degrees here. It's only freezing that cold for a few hours. But because you lazy, communist, liberal pricks only have time to listen to Nancy Pelosi and all of your global warming rags, which purport science, but simply indoctrinate you on disinformation. This is a normal setting. Yeah. Which means that there is no global warming because this was the same norm back in 1883. The same thing happened. It's normal. There are 60-year oceanic cycles. There are grand solar minimas. Climate fluctuates. It never is linear and it never doesn't change. There is not a single subscriber on this channel that is denying climate change. We know it happens every single day, and it blows your mind because you have no idea what's happening. We're getting colder, and in upstate New York, there's no snowmobiling because it's a lack of snow. Well, how about the record winter you're having? How about the record fall snow that you had? All-time records. It's now melted. We didn't have any snow all winter, and you're bitching because you had a bad week. That's because global warming has indoctrinated you into the bullshit. I can assure you upstate New York is going to start to get snow this week, and it will not end until summer, which will be a bummer for all you pricks that think the earth is warming, but the snowmobilers are going to be raking in the bucks while the rest of you idiots have to go to work, and your 401k is worth pennies. Now, watch this idiot get a DUI while creating an accident, while an accident has already happened. There's a cop here, and watch this idiot. He's drunk. Oh, and that guy falls, changing the tire. Luckily, he lived, but this guy is having a bad day. He's going to jail forever. Hopefully. I have no respect for that human. I wish he decapitated himself on that drive-by. From Sunday evening to Wednesday of next week, a double-barreled storm will spread a swath of snow and ice across Thunder Bay and Green Bay, headed towards northern New York where they can't snowmobile. I tell you, by Tuesday, they'll be snowmobiling in New York. It's conceivable that the Adirondacks and the mountains of northern New England could pick up a foot of snow from Monday through Tuesday. That's your lose day, global warmists. You might not even be able to start your snowmobiles because it's been so hot and you forgot to service them. The first storm to impact the Midwest in 2019 will be a heavy impact on Missouri, northern Minnesota, and northern Minneapolis. An area of freezing rain, sleet, and snow and plain rain will develop just south of the snow area of southern Minnesota and central Wisconsin around the same time. That's Sunday night. Motorists heading home from an extended holiday venture along Interstate 94 will be totally fluxed, encountering slippery and dangerous conditions. And if you have been drinking, yes, you'll be getting a DUI like that D-bag that we opened with. Now, Monday night through Tuesday, the winter storm develops northern Adirondacks, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Heavy snow developing. A mix will be moving south into your Boston. Snow squall potential through your Wednesday. Difficult, poor travel all the way down to southern West Virginia. Southern West Virginia. Lower temperatures associated with the second storm may lead to more extensive slippery, snow-covered conditions, frozen pipes, and other shite. We'll get to it. It's not out of the question that snow showers reaches as far south as Philly, Baltimore, and Washington by Wednesday. Yes. And then if you want to know about the blizzard of 1996, when the global warming nonsense began, you can listen to it right here. Why did you all believe that? No one knows, but the snow continues to fall, and the mainstream continues that there is no snow falling. There's no snow anywhere. It's global warming. Where's the snow? There is no snow. I haven't seen any snow this year anywhere. It's almost as if the snow doesn't exist, except when you look at the data and the graphs, which we're going to pull up and show you that the snow totals are beyond reprise for the entirety of recorded history. For the entirety of recorded history, we currently have 100% the average amount of snow ever recorded everywhere, except in Florida, which never has snow. And they're wondering why there's no snow there. Frauds. A series of Pacific storms will impact the western U.S. into next week. A series of storms will bring heavy rain, high mountain snow, and periods of gusty wind in this weekend and early next week. Winter storm watches and warnings through the northern Sierras, all the way down through the southern Sierras and Southern California mountains into Mammoth, mountains of Arizona. Winter storm warnings and watches in swatches. We have winter storms and watches in southern New York and, yeah, Boston and surrounding areas. I didn't think it was snowing up there. I thought there was no snow up there. Oh, someone's lying. Let's come over here to the NSIDC National Snow and Ice Data Center, which is funded by NOAA. And they show record amounts of snow and ice covering the entire northern hemisphere. And when I say record, I mean that we're going to check the records so that anyone that thinks that we're making it up can totally suck it by the end of this video. We're going to show you the changing sea ice thickness as it gets thicker year after year after year during the global warming scare. Here's 2017, another 1,000 cubic kilometers in 2018 on the same date, and another 1,000 on top of that on the same date in 2019. So here we are in 2017, and now we're all going to burn up, and the next year there is 1,000 cubic kilometers more ice in the Arctic, and the year after that, 1,000 on top of that, headed towards a record. Just like the snow totals in the northern hemisphere. Here's the snow extent map, weekend maximum for your now. You know how I know how? Because these are the powers that be that are lying to you about the state of the Arctic. Here you see there's no ice in the Arctic. This is a lie. The ice is all the way out here into the Bering Sea. Yet they put this picture up here because sometime back in 2012 in the summer, it looked like this. At some point, people are going to get sick of seeing this one picture from that year. It's embarrassing because it's not science. You know how I know? Because I'm a scientist. And I actually did science and I learned the scientific method. I don't do what these climatologists do these days, which is whatever their mentor or their advisor tells them to do so that they can get funding. That's been going on for 20 years. You have to do what the big guy says to get your funding. And you're like, well, that's not what I wanted to do. And he says, shut up and eat your funding. You know how I know? Because I was there. I got a full scholarship to graduate school, which means that I had basically the run of the mill. I had the run of the university in the geology department. But I had to do exactly what my professor said because there is no way to get funded. I barely got $5,000 in my first year to do a thesis. You know why? Because I was predicting that snow totals would be rising through my lifetime, not falling, as they wanted me to prove. And add insult to injury, you're looking at the observed snow water equivalent for the northern hemisphere today, and it is above a running average that goes back to 1998. It doesn't even come close. We would have to go back in history to the 60s to find any numbers like this. Who's reporting on that? No one. You know why? Because the total snow mass for the northern hemisphere is also off the charts. There's one other chart here we can look at. Snow cover extent in the northern hemisphere. Yeah, it's looking bad. Really low levels up here. Well above normal. Forecasters monitor threat of new severe cold triple vortex in the UK region. Forecasters are monitoring a risk of a new intense cold spell due to sudden stratospheric warming in the Arctic, which has been going on forever since we've been scientific. It didn't just start because of man. Man has nothing to do with sudden stratospheric warming. The climate system does. Now, the climate system is a system. So all of you warmists that are wondering why it's record temperatures in the southeast, that's because it's record cold in the northwest. Climate systems equilibrate. That means they go to equal. You cannot change the temperature on the planet instantaneously. You can only do it in one area, and the other area has to react. The reason the word climate change denier is so disingenuous is because it's oxymoronic. It's an impossibility based on language. You cannot deny climate change because climate change is undeniable, which is why I think I picked up on this. So if we continue to point that out to the idiots, that everyone is well aware that the climate changes because we know of the 4 seasons. I don't know anyone on this channel denying that there's 4 seasons, but some people think that that's what a grand solar minimum means, that it's all winter all the time in Florida. You're an idiot. Please unsubscribe to the channel if that's what you think. Your mental capacity for understanding science, climate, weather, and systems is obviously out the window. If you've been alive long enough to speak, read, and listen to YouTube, and you don't understand that there is going to continue to be seasons everywhere on the earth, even during an ice age, I need you to unsubscribe to the channel. You are without help. Don't ask me. Don't email me information. Ask someone else. You're so far behind the curve that you will never catch up before the magnetic reversal and before you get a chip stuck in your head because you're just going to follow along with the masses. Now, the masses have warned that Britain faces increased chance of several weather changes during late January. This weather phenomenon that they've never heard of called sudden stratospheric warming is taking place over the Arctic, which it does almost every year in the Arctic, especially when the sun goes quiet. So that means every decade for 3 to 5 years, sudden stratospheric warming has been happening the entire time science has existed. And we know about it. But because it was 10 years ago and it was happening before, you forgot about it. Because global warming, global warming, global warming. And now they bring it back up as if it's a brand new thing, like the polar vortex. Never happened before until man got involved. Now, sudden stratospheric warming happens in the winter when it gets cold in the northern hemisphere, especially when we're far away from the sun, tilting away from it. It involves a sudden increase in temperatures in the stratosphere high above the Earth that leads to the climate system equilibrating, making it really cold at the surface. Which is why I keep Al in the well, because it's always 53.8 down there. Isn't that right, Al? Perfect temperature. Now put the lotion in the basket. Yeah, I'm a little chapped. My heels, they're cracked. It's winter. Rising temperatures at high latitudes last year eventually led to the beast from the east, and they're expecting the same this year. The extreme weather brought havoc, left 17 dead. Now, the warming does not always result in heavy snowfall, but it does always result in heavy freezing, and freezing your arse off, you will. Cold alerts issued for mercury falling. Stubborn early chill to blight Britain. Experts rule out imminent return from the beast from the east. We ruled that out yesterday. It's not going to snow in the next 2 weeks. It's just going to be really cold and suck for you in the UK. Because without snow on the ground, that means your pipes will freeze. and infrastructure will fail. UK weather forecast: hospitals expect mayhem as Icelandic freeze grips Britain. I expect infrastructure failure because there's no snow on the ground. And you idiots in the UK have been told that you're going to grow oranges there this year. How's that working out for you? Where's the citrus grove at? I heard there was one in a greenhouse in Nebraska where it gets minus 40. Have you guys heard that up in UK? I doubt it. 26 minutes in, we have 400 tabs open. Unprecedented level 2 cold weather alert issued for Devon and Cornwall. Video unavailable. Now, the Met Office says there's a strong chance of severe weather across Southwest this weekend. They've even put frosty tips on sticks of weeds and untied men in their unavailable video. The Met Office has issued level 2 cold weather alert for the whole of Devon and Cornwall this weekend, saying there is a 60% chance to freeze your ass off. The Weather Service says the extreme cold this weekend could pose a danger to the elderly, drunks, and other vulnerable chickens. The yellow alert reads, the weather could increase the health risks vulnerable to patients and disrupt the delivery services of their narcotics, making them insane and robbing the local convenience store. It adds that generally cold across the UK, with widespread frost and patches of freezing fog across the West Midlands, South Central England, Southwest England, and perhaps the northeast of England, increased clouds and blah of reaching cold weather, cloudiness of cold and other conditions developing. Boom! That said nothing. Finger Lakes wines and grapes. Let's talk about winter in the vineyard. Yes, let's talk about it. There's Chris Shamati. Happy New Year. Another year of grape growing in a global warming world should make all wine and grape makers in the Finger Lakes region happy. Finger Lakes, that's New York. They have no snow there. There's no snowmobiling. It's all global warming, right? The grapes should be awesome. Now, at this point, grape growers are hoping for the best. A mild winter, a nice, warm, frost-free spring, and hot and dry summer with just enough rain for the vines. And do you know why? Because these growers are dreamers that believed in global warming. They didn't believe in natural climate cycles. They didn't talk to any local farmers. They just listened to the media, and they wasted their money. Because these vineyards got hit this fall with record snow. The buds didn't even form. There might not be any grapes at all next year because of an early onset of winter, which should have never happened in a global warming world. And now it's warm again, and those damaged, unformed buds are confused, and the plants are getting even more destroyed because of climate. Not because of man-made climate change, because of natural climate variability that has happened forever. And if you think you're going to grow a sensitive crop in a region that does not grow sensitive crops, you know what they grow in New York? Apples and Brussels sprouts. Period. Because they always win. Grapes, not so much. Many grapevine vineyards are failing. They're going to be being sold at discount rates in the region. And if you come read this article, you will find out that the reason the grapes are failing in New York is the same reason they're failing in Europe. Early winter seasons. Winter comes early in the fall and it extends late into the spring. Critical times for grapes. If winter goes from fall to spring and it gets warm in the winter, it doesn't matter. All the perennial fruits are dead. The cherries, the currants, the grapes, the blueberries, they all suffer. The year without a summer is going to be the year without fruit as well. Unless you grow multiple varieties that have multiple bloom times and you're a permaculture farmer. We have 10 trees that go from zone 8 to zone 2. I think that we'll get a hit every year because that's what we're planning on. Something will produce. You need to be self-reliant and self-resilient. You cannot put all your baskets in a bunch. Don't put all your pennies in your pocket. You got to split them apart. And don't let anti-GMO fanatics like Diamond thwart these improved photosynthesis crops. Because science knows how to grow plants better than the earth. Clearly. Plants don't know how to photosynthesize the sun. Are you kidding me? Monsanto is the only one that knows that. Because their scientists proved it. That they make plants that use the sun better to grow more food with less nutrition and more chemical poisons on them. Don't you know that's good for you? Don't you know it's better to eat food with less nutrition and more poison on it? Didn't you know that? That's why I wrote this article, so you would know. Eat it, you sheep. Hey, did you know bear shares jumped after the Monsanto weed killer court rulings ruled that the German chemical company scored a court victory today that they can only release small amounts of factual information on how their poisons cause cancer. Man, I don't know who got paid for that one. But it is scumbaggery from the top shelf, and this will be the last you hear of it. Because it doesn't matter that you died from eating food. No one cares. I paid off that judge. This U.S. judge, who's definitely going to hell, Judge Vince Calabria. Hey, Judge Vince, you're a scumbag, and I hope you die of cancer from Roundup. You're a scumbag, Vince. Now, this scumbag ruled to limit evidence on the fact that innocent humans on Earth are being killed by this chemical company. So he's going to limit the evidence in the Roundup cancer trials. Because clearly the evidence shows that Monsanto's guilty, and they already pay out hundreds of millions. So what they did is they gave this guy hundreds of millions to stop paying out hundreds of millions more. That's how it works. And this scumbag, who's basically Satan, Judge Vince Satan, during a hearing in San Francisco, upheld the scumbag idea that too much bad information about the carcinogenic nature of glyphosate is bad for the company. Well, this U.S. judge is now going to vacation in Milan. And you're going to continue to eat Roundup in all boxed food. Seismic update, major uptick in the Indonesia region. We have some West Coast activity. As I predicted, we have activity on the Cascadia, 4.1 in Brookings, nothing severe. 4.9 in Loreto. Up here in the Kamchatka, 4.4. No other quakes of note. Mid-ocean ridge spreading. Interesting activity up in Wyoming. Fearmongers saying that Yellowstone's going to erupt, I'm sure. Here's a 2.6 in Monroe, Utah. Probably fracking related. And over here we have some seismic activity in Albania. Probably because 100 centimeters of snow fell there and forced a fault to move. That's snow tilting the earth. Sheveluch erupting violently for hours. Now, I had actual footage of it loaded, and they erased it all. I had hours from 4:32 UTC. I had 4 o'clock, 3:30, 3:32. They all got erased. But you can clearly see here Sheveluch, 4:32 UTC, which is about 40 minutes ago. This is live. You can see the end of the eruption. It erupted for over 5 hours at a height of probably 35,000 feet up into the stratosphere. Major plume. We'll get to it, and we'll even see video evidence on the snow. Krakatoa Volcano News in the Sunda Strait. Krakatoa is blowing regularly in a big way. Now, there's no island to blow off anymore for the most part. But this is putting huge amounts of steam into the atmosphere. I'm sure the weather in this area is terrible. Now, the eruptive phase of Krakatoa continues with little changes. Steam explosions from the now submerged vent at Anakrakatau can be seen from the coast. Ash and steam plumes rise 40,000 feet, which means you can't fly near there. It also means it's cooling the earth. Etna volcano updates and eruption news. Earthquake under the southwest flank. Heads up. Boom! The volcano continues to show signs of unrest. A swarm of small earthquakes has been occurring under the southwest flank. This is the dangerous one that could calve off into the ocean, causing a major tsunami, killing millions instantly. So far, the magnitude was 3.5. Very shallow depth of 7 kilometers. Should raise eyebrows. North of Ragaina, 5 hours. Felt as weak shakings in the villages. We're going to be keeping a close eye on Etna. This is all due to that cosmic ray increase over the last 4 days, causing major eruptive activity at many volcanoes, including Sheveluch, which we can clearly see here. For hundreds of miles, dark snow. I'm pretty sure people didn't do that. Pretty sure. Al, did you do that? We'll have articles coming out tomorrow about Sheveluch eruption. It was very significant. It was approximately 40,000 feet into the air. It lasted for hours. And there is an uptick at Sheveluch, waiting on a larger eruption. New climate deal has entered into the forest. It could change the course of our warming planet. Now, someone sent me this. And this picture of this person who thinks that they know something, Joyce Mayusa, the acting executive director of the UN Environment. Now, they picked her because she is clueless. She is unable to think outside of the box. This is now my conclusion. The people that are picked for these high-level positions only care about their earrings and their smile. Clearly, she had her teeth done. Very expensive lipstick. But this is a great article because the Kigali Amendment of the Montreal Protocol actually takes care of pollution. My mind was blown when I read this article. They're not cutting CO2. They're cutting HFCs. Yeah, hydrofluorocarbons are pollutants. So this is amazing. But this is how stupid these scientists think they are. They think by cutting a small fraction of hydrofluorocarbons using this protocol here, the Montreal Protocol, that they're going to reduce global temperature by 0.5 degree. These are puppets. She thinks that if she writes a law, the earth is going to cool 0.5 degree. Idiot alert. This woman has lots of fluoride in her system. If you didn't know, since February of 2016, the earth has cooled 0.7 degrees centigrade. That's as much as it's warmed since 1880. The amount of cooling in the last 3 years is as much of the warming since 1880. Boom! Super boom! Boom Super Express! Not to be confused with Mega Super Boom or Boom Boom Deluxe. You frauds. Yeah, same temperature back here in 88 is today. Same temperature back in 83 is today. This is the December 2018 numbers showing a continued downward trend. Now, I want to open your eyes to downward trends on global temps. In January and February is when they begin to fall. Here's December, January, fall. January, drop off. January, drop off. January, the biggest drop off in human history. And now here we are in January. I wonder what will happen in the next 3 months. Baseline. Facts are hard to deny. And we're going to walk you through the 3rd of January in 2017, 2018, and 2019. And I want you to keep an eye on the Bering Strait in Alaska, where the global warmists have focused their nonsense in recent years. See how there's no ice up there in 2017 and none in 2018? Boom! The reason you're all quiet is because look over here at the dot. Let's come look at this dot. Watch how this dot changes on the right. We've just come into January, and you can see the dot here down at 17, right here, 17, that's 17,000 cubic kilometers of ice. Boom! 17,500 cubic kilometers of ice a year later. And this year, we are at 18,000 cubic kilometers of ice in the Arctic. So, 2017, 17,000. 2018, 17,500. And this year, 18,000 cubic kilometers of ice in the Arctic. 17 and 17, 17, 5 and 18, and 18 and 19. I know it's confusing, but that means more ice, more ice, more ice! Most ice right now, ever, in years. There are no fears, just fearmongers and liars. That's why we're here, to guide you on your journey as we download hundreds of links. And it's boom time in the capital of cannabis. Boom Boom Deluxe, which is a mega super boom, which is Boom Super Express. Super boom. And take that. Space weather news. Major perturbation. We're talking a 120 nanotesla shift in the last 4 hours. We could see some explosive activity at power stations, but the event that we're currently living is much more minor than the last event, and it is now ending. So I imagine we may get into geomagnetic instability, not up to KP5, probably no electrical events on the globe, little too minor. But again, a non-event. We're now in electron flux, electron storm, all because of a small coronal hole. Here's the BZ shift. Density is dropping while speed is increasing. So here you see the density spike that then causes the speed to increase later. As Ben Davidson says, snow on a shovel builds and then the plasma comes. So this event is all but over, and it may reverberate over the coming day or so, but I don't see any major event currently. Although speed is continuing to spike and has hit 420, heads up. It did. It hit it. I'm about to hit it. It hit 420. But it looks like it's falling off now here on the ACE. But that doesn't mean if you're in Canada, you shouldn't go outside, because we do have charging on the satellite environment. It's not in the orange range, but it's above 92%. So there is some surface charging happening currently to satellites. And that means there is some aurora headed your way. Hey, hey. Ontario and the Eastern Maritimes, this is going to turn around in the next few hours, and it's going to be all over Canada. Even New Zealand will be picking up some good aurora shots in the coming 24 hours. So get out there, live life. If the magnetic reversal is coming in 2047 and we all die, what are you waiting for? You're going to be old as dirt and barely stand up then anyway. So you might as well survive and thrive while you can, with the facts at hand to know how to react when shit happens. Don't be a sucker. Be a leader. Lead by example. Get informed. We're about to inform you. This paper came out 2 days ago. optical, spectroscopic, and polarization properties of the 2011 outburst of the recurrent nova T Pyridoxus. Pyxidus. Whatever it's called, it doesn't matter. It's a supernova. It's a micronova. It's a nova burst. We've been talking about novas, and we want to know more about novas. Come check out the data in this paper. You won't understand any of it. Just keep scrolling down to page 10. Yeah. And here you will see the only full color picture that will keep your attention. And what you're looking at is the ANA proofs. The evolution of the geometry of the nova ejecta on day 224, top left, 252, top right, 336, bottom left, and 1064, bottom right. So basically this is a 3-year progression, and you can see the shapes of the ejecta from the star widening. So it's a quick event. It only lasts for a few weeks, as Doug Vogt says. Maybe a month. In 18 hours, the debris field will hit us, and it will pass by us. But there's before and after effects. And there's the effects of the actual splatter from the material coming from the sun. Which will be fun for some and terrible for others. But this happens time immemorial. So we need to know the facts. Come check it out and see the evolution of a nova that we are now witnessing. China becomes the first nation to land on the moon's far side, and no one believes them, except China. They even have pictures. There it is. And they're about to go into this crater, which they think is billions of years old. Which leads me to believe that the entire narrative is designed for you to digest and believe, but it is 0% of the truth of what they're doing over here. China is well ahead of us in esoteric knowledge. They have more historical information than any other country other than India. It goes way back. Remember, America was started in 1776. And we murdered all the people with the real information. They were called the natives. Probably 40 million people murdered by ignorant white people. And now the Chinese are going to have more data than we have and share it with their public. Albeit it will all be fake. Including the snowman looking guy with arms here. He looks totally awesome. We're never going to get the facts. We have to assemble them ourselves. You know why I know? Because an astronaut accidentally dialed 911 while he was floating around in a space station. Yeah, Andre Kuipers. This 60-year-old Dane, just embarrassed. He's a Dutch. I don't even know. But that guy's a D-bag, and he should be fired. He dialed 911 because he was making a call from the space station. They make phone calls while they're up there. Shouldn't they be doing, like, science? No, they're not allowed to do anything. They just sit up there and pretend they're doing something. Yeah, just sit up there and eat the freeze-dried ice cream. Piss in the tube. But don't call 911. Now Egypt demanding CBS not air the interview with the president. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, who's appointed by the heads of the deep state, actually talk freely. And now the government doesn't want the country to know what he actually said. Can you imagine that's if you lived in Egypt and you found out that you're not allowed to know what your president said? I would be crossing that border faster than you can. There is a growing population of wild monkeys in Florida with a deadly herpes virus. If you don't know why you should leave Florida yet, and you live there, red tide, tsunami threat, 2 roads out of the entire state, which on a Cat 3 storm become gridlocked and Armageddon-like, and now you have deadly herpes viruses in monkeys. you're probably almost dead anyway, and that's why you're there. Washington governor announces plan to pardon marijuana misdemeanors. Boo! Amen to that. It's boom time. Washington governor announces that he's going to wash the records. He plans to expedite pardons for individuals convicted of misdemeanors of marijuana possession. Now, Governor Jay Inslee is my new hero. He said in a statement that officials should no longer punish people for something that is no longer illegal. Duh. That's a Democrat that makes sense right there. Because remember, politicians are people too. It doesn't matter if they have an R or a D next to them. Or an L. Or an A. Or a G. They're just people. More influenced by one side than the other. It's all influence. If you look inside yourself, you'll realize what a scumbag you've been. You know, the only way I got sober was to do step 4. That is a searching and fearless moral inventory of yourself. All the skeletons that you have in your closet that you think are darker and deeper than everyone else's, they're nothing compared to my list. You need to share those secrets with someone more disgusting than you think you are, and the veil will be lifted. Humans are not infallible. We are disgusting animals that pretend that we're not. And the only way you can break free from the way that you act is to deal with all of the pain that you've been suffered. The moment that you realize that the only moment you're alive is now is the moment your head pops out of your ass. All that shit you did in the past is gone. The only thing that matters is what you do now, moving forward. It was a Christmas miracle when Scrooge realized that it didn't matter that he was a scumbag his whole life. He could start being nice now. Give till it hurts. If you have it, give it away. Especially if you don't need it. If you're saving up to buy an electronic device or something else that will just make you miserable, you are still part of the problem. If you've never volunteered at a soup kitchen on Thanksgiving to feed the homeless, then I don't want to talk to you in public life. I don't want you to call my phone because I know what type of person you are. You want to use me to make your life better. Well, guess what? Only you can do that.